Hello, my name is David Glass. I've been a lawyer for 48 years, although you may not think so from the young way that I look. I've been passionate about law throughout that time. I'm mainly a business lawyer, a corporate lawyer, but I've always had an interest in the education sector, and I've worked a lot with educational institutions over the years, and it's particularly nice for me to be associated with the University of East London, UEL, which I think is a great university with a great law department faculty. I was privileged to be asked to join the Law Advisory Group, which is a group of external advisors to the Department of Law, which is part of the Department of Business and Law, in order to really perform the function, as I see it, of a critical friend in advising the Department of Law together with other colleagues on the group as to what they might do to improve engagement with the law profession, of which I'm a very small part, and generally how to take forward the agenda of providing the best possible educational opportunities for UEL's law and criminology students. Well, I think the first thing to say is that obviously we have all been much affected over the last year by the extraordinary COVID experience, working from home, and all the rest of it. And Brexit also, particularly in a legal context, has had many implications. So this is a time of change for students as well as for the world at large. The legal profession has been much affected by change, just as everybody else has. Quite interestingly, I am currently working for a law firm which has had for the last 15 years actually a home working based model, and I think that perhaps what I can bring to the party as part of my membership of the Law Advisory Group is how to work differently in the different circumstances in which we all find ourselves, and how best to advise students on building their futures within what is going to be a very different scenario for legal practice than has ever existed before. Fortunately, I'm also accompanied by a number of other excellent colleagues in the Law Advisory Group, as well as being very much supported by the staff and management members at UEL, who are very keen to engage with us to see what we can all do better in order to help our student body. Why have I chosen to work with UEL? A very good question, and to me there is a very clear answer. I'm a Londoner, born and bred. I've only moved about 4 miles, I have to confess, in my entire life in terms of permanent locations. I believe passionately in London because of its internationalism, cosmopolitanism, and diversity. And UEL very much fits all those requirements, all those perspectives. And I think that UEL, being based in the heart of the technology hub of London, near Tech City, near the old Olympic Park, really very much as a hive of activity and opportunity, attracting a really interesting cohort of students, is the sort of organisation that I am very privileged to work with. It's just very exciting, and I wish to be part of that building of the future for our student body. What do I see as the main opportunities for upcoming law graduates? Well, the profession of the law is changing all the time, changing as we speak. About 10 years ago, there was very much of a focus by legal analysts and prophets of the law, like Professor Richard Susskind, is a very good example of how the law would be dominated in the future by changes in technology, resulting in commoditized law being delivered online, thus meaning that those who practice the law have similarly got to change, got to be more specialist, have got to offer particular perspectives. The law used to be, in England and Wales, solicitors and barristers and legal executives, and not much else in my experience at the time. These days, it's much more diverse. Obviously, all those professions that I've mentioned are very much alive and growing well. In-house lawyers have become very much a part of the overall legal profession. Paralegals have become very much a feature of the legal profession. Those who use the law to access business and socially orientated professions and jobs are very much part of the flow of the law. So the law is about life, and one recognizes within it the different aspects of the law that can be practiced. And in my role, as my very small role as part of the law advisory group, I hope to be able to contribute my experience of how things are happening in the outside world to students, to help them along their way. Well, the law industry, let's divide it. What are the challenges affecting the law industry, you ask? The law industry is diverse. Let us look at the private sector. That is very much dominated by a number of issues. Years ago, one would be able to know what profession one had to go to for particular advice. So accountants did accounting, lawyers did law, doctors did medicine, etc., etc. These days, the one-stop shop approach is much more prevalent, and therefore accountants are doing many of the areas of law that lawyers previously did exclusively, and vice versa. Even as far as medicine is concerned, certainly it is recognized that lawyers who come with a medical background or with an other specialist background, such as engineering, in the case of patent lawyers, are able to develop their roles as lawyers with the input of other aspects of learning and professional life. So the challenge of the law at the moment is how to react and be proactive in relation to consumer demand, in relation to public requirements, and the real challenge for the law is how to keep modern and up to date. That is on the private sector side. On the public sector side, well, there are huge challenges deriving, let us say, to take one example because it is current, from Brexit. Brexit and the repatriation of legal affairs in many ways from Brussels back to the UK presents huge challenges and opportunities actually for public sector lawyers here in the UK. So I think that there are huge opportunities for students in the times ahead. What are the main challenges? The challenges are that money is tight. It is tight in the law as it is in other areas. The court system is creaking because of lack of investment in relation to modern court systems, etc., and so on and so forth. And the challenge of technology, both in terms of lawyers keeping themselves up to date as to the tools that are available to them to practice their profession, but also in terms of technology removing from traditional law practices areas of law that can be just handled online. After all, from a client's point of view, from a consumer's point of view, why should such a consumer invest time and money in instructing a law firm when there is so much available information online to assist them? So it is the function of the new breed of lawyers, as well as those who have been there for some time, to ensure that they remain relevant as far as their client constituency is concerned. I think there are plenty of exciting opportunities for lawyers and for those who wish to qualify into the legal profession. Let's go through a few of them. I can take one from my own personal experience. My daughter recently completed a combined law and French course. She enjoyed both elements, but she decided that she was more interested in pursuing a profession outside the strict law, but making use of her legal knowledge. My daughter has a passion for dogs, and she set up a business looking after dogs, training dogs, and offering services round about that. I can see for myself that it has been immensely useful from her point of view to be able to understand the principles of contract law, the principles of tax law, the requirements of filing accounts, the need to understand property law if one wants to have premises, the need to understand tort law in case dogs end up biting people around about. Fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. So the relationship between law and business does present opportunities of its own to prospective lawyers. As far as those who wish to remain within the legal profession are concerned, I have seen in recent years how particular areas of law, such as medical negligence law, intellectual property law, pensions law, the whole gamut of legal understanding has grown and grown. So there are opportunities which did not exist in times past for specialisms within the law. and there are opportunities for specialisms without the law for those who don't wish to practice simply as lawyers. When I was studying, there was much more of an emphasis on generalists, on jacks of all trades, who were family advisors, who were able to point clients in the right direction, and in the manner of, let's say, general practitioners in the medical world, if there were specialist advice that was needed, then one referred specialist issues to the barrister's profession. Now, there is still a role for generalists, and there's very definitely a role for the bar. But what I have observed, and I think that it is a trend that will continue and continue, is that there are multiple specialisms which those qualifying into the law are particularly interested in and will have the opportunity to specialise in if that is what they wish to do. So the opportunities lie in pursuing specialisms as required, but also in having a more generalist approach to life and the law as required. Let me take an example of something which is perhaps a bit more generalist. Now, environment and climate change and the upcoming conference, COP26, to be held in Glasgow later this year, about illustrations of the overriding importance of environmental issues in the current world. Environmental issues, as far as the law is concerned, come into many different categories, and there are general bodies, for instance, Client Earth as an example, of a not-for-profit organisation focusing on environmental issues, which do require lawyers who've got broad environmental law knowledge across a number of different areas, be it product liability, be it tax incentives to keep environmental businesses, friendly businesses going, etc., etc. So I think there are plenty of opportunities, and if I were a student, I would say, look, draw up a wish list of what you want to do, and then try and build your professional experience around it, and you will see that there is plenty of opportunity there already, and plenty more to be created in the future. And I think UEL is a very forward-looking organisation, which I have found it to be in the relatively short time that I've been associated with it, can really help students along their path in that direction. Ask me what advice would I give to law students. Different lawyers will give different advice to law students because it's a very individual question. I can really only give you the benefit of my experience, which is that I changed track in my legal career quite a number of times. I am a corporate lawyer now, and I have been a corporate lawyer for many years, but in the past I have tackled different areas of law. And what I think is very important, because the law, certainly those who practice the law as their profession, should see it, I think, very much as a vocation as well as a profession. And I think that it is very important to follow your heart in what you want to do in the law, and not be scared to change track if you feel that you would like to move into a different track. So follow your heart, but keep your head firmly screwed on is the sort of thing that I would say.